Hey Celine, I was just curious if you were thinking of coming to Lisa and I's wedding.
Richard, it's so lovely to hear from you. Why do I feel like you're about to continue bullying me as you have been the whole time, and I've known you though?
If you don't want me to bully you, then maybe you should stop always making yourself such an easy target, you old hag.
And there he goes. You didn't even get 2 messages in before the insults began to fly. Anyways, to answer your questions, yes, of course I was planning on being there for your wedding. I mean, my husband and the rest of my family is going to be there after all, so of course I would go as well. In fact, I dare say that I'm even looking forward to it, if you can believe that.
And you really think that you're good enough to be at the wedding with the rest of your family like you actually belong there?
That was almost a complete sentence. But I'm still not quite sure what you mean by that.
I mean that I am never ever going to think of you as family, got it? You might be my mother on paper, but I want you to know that you're nothing to me at all. And I don't ever want to hear you calling me your stepson, because I'm not going to be calling you my stepmother.
Richard, how many times have we had this same exact conversation? I know that I'm your stepmother and that you and I never really gotten along, but we've known each other for more than a decade now. I really think that we would have at least gotten beyond the point of always butting heads. Anyways, yes, I'm looking forward to being there at your wedding and celebrating with all our family. Is that the whole reason why you messaged me? To make sure that I was going to be there or not?
I'm asking the questions around here, and I don't like the tone of voice that you're taking with me right now.
Well, we're texting, so I'm not really sure just how much a tone there really is. But if anything, you're the one who's being so aggressive towards me right now. I know that you don't like me, but I don't get why you always have to treat me like that. Why can't you just be like every other mature adult and bottle up your feelings until you go talk to your therapist? Are you really trying to tell me that you're going to have a problem with me being at your wedding?
I don't just have a problem with it. Even the thought of you being there is humiliating. So if you want to save your stepson from being embarrassed on what's supposed to be the happiest day of his life, don't bother coming.
And just what is so embarrassing about having me there at your wedding, huh? Are you really going to be so ashamed of having your own stepmother there with you? Because I have been humiliated by you in public plenty of times. I'm still here, wanting to be there for you at your wedding.
What isn't embarrassing about you? You're like shame embodied. I want you to keep as far away from me as possible. And I'm going to use the wedding as my chance to cut you out of my life for good. Although I do wish that my dad would just grow a spine and finally divorce you. Then I could really be rid of you forever.
Right, well, as much as I appreciate your concern for the health of your father and Mai's marriage, we have no intention of divorcing anytime soon. I mean, we've been living together and married for other 10 years. And I've been in your home since you were in the middle school. So I really don't think you can count on anything changing anytime soon. So since nothing is going to change between your father and I, why don't you try growing up a little? I mean, do you even realize just how much I've put into raising you as my own child? I'm not asking you to love me, but at least show me the respect that someone who has done so much for you deserves.
Man, you really are delusional, you know that? What in the world makes you think that I owe you any respect at all? How dare you even try to tell me what to do? You really need to rethink your life if you think you're even worth respecting. Don't ever message me again, got it? I never want to hear from you again.
You were the one who messaged me in the first place, but if this is how you're going to act towards me over your wedding, then I can tell you no, that you will regret this. What is going on here? I was sure that I got here earlier than the wedding was even supposed to start.
I thought I told you that I didn't want you here, didn't I? I didn't even invite you in the first place, so why don't you just turn around and go home?
I don't even have a seat here. What is the meaning of this, Richard?
Are you really even that surprised? You already knew that you weren't invited, and yet you showed up anyways. If you're looking for someone to blame, why not try starting with yourself? I told you that I'll never think of you as my mom, so why do you think you would have a seat at my wedding?
I don't want you to think of me as your mother, and I never wanted that. It wasn't something you wanted. But the fact is that I'm still your father's wife, and you're excluding me from your wedding. You do realize that this is family event, Just as much as this is about you and Lisa, right? People are going to notice that I'm not here.
Oh please, you think anyone is even going to care at all? You're just a nuisance to everyone, and nobody thinks that you belong here. So just go back to where you came from, and never ever come back.
I really just don't know what to say. I dedicate 10 years of my life to be there for you. To cook your meals, drive you to sport events, helping you study and complete school projects, and this is how you pay me back? You didn't even save me a seat to be with my family on this big day? I literally don't have anything to say.
Well, for someone who doesn't have anything to say, you sure do text a lot. Now why don't you understand that you're not wanted here and just leave me alone? You're not my mom, you never will be, and I never want to see you again.
Okay, fine then, have it your way. I hope your wedding goes great.
Just shut up and leave already, you old bat. Nobody wants you here.
I already said that I'm going to leave. There's no need to be any more rude to me than you already have. Just know that this wedding isn't going to go the way you think it is, Richard.
And just what is that supposed to mean? You want me to have a good wedding? You could do that by getting lost.
I guess you didn't know this, but your father asked me to plan your wedding, from the venue all the way down to the cake. It was all me. I have no idea why I thought it was a good idea to take over planning your wedding, but I agreed to it.
What are you talking about? You're not serious about that, are you? Did you really plan my wedding?
That's right, I did. And it would be just horrible if all of that was to be cancelled at the last minute and you couldn't have your wedding, right? I think that would be really embarrassing for you and your wife.
I have no idea what you're talking about, you crazy old bat. You better start making sense right now.
I mean, if I had already paid for all of it, I suppose there would be no point in cancelling. But since I was going to put down the rest of the money once the wedding was done, that's certainly not gonna happen now.
You can't be serious, right? I thought it was Dad who paid for and planned everything.
Well, you were just wrong about that because it was all me. It always was. This was supposed to be your last big present from your parents for you, but you returned the gesture with an even bigger surprise by not saving a seat for your own stepmother.
And so what? What does that have to do with having the wedding?
It has to do with the wedding because I was the one who agreed to take on all the work of planning it. Did you really think that a wedding is planned by itself? You just pay money and it all comes together or something? Of course not. And it wasn't even your dad who paid for everything either. I paid for every little bit of your wedding.
Dad didn't even pay a cent for my wedding?
That's right. I thought that if I did this for you, that you might finally see that I've never wanted anything but what's best for you. I thought that we could finally all be a family maybe. I know that after 10 years, you'd think I would have learned my lesson, but I guess I'm just persistent. This whole time that we've known each other, I've wanted nothing but to get close to you and know you better, even if you never called me Mom. I wanted to let you know that you could come to me with anything and that we were on the same side.
Well, I don't know about that sappy, touchy-feely nonsense, but my wedding is not going to be cancelled. I may not have known that you planned everything, but if you try to pull out of this now, I'll just ask my dad to pay what you owe.
I don't think that's going to go as well as you think, actually.
Are you kidding me? You think that Dad isn't going to want to help his son make sure his wedding goes off without a hitch?
If you really must know, your dad was opposed to us paying for everything in the first place anyways. He asked me to help you plan it, but paying for it was all my idea. He never wanted to do that for you.
You can't be serious about that, right?
So I'm afraid that if I choose not to pay, that it's all going to fall on you.
But I'm his son. Why wouldn't he want to pay for my wedding? I don't understand.
You are his son, but you're also 25 and your dad thinks it's high time you learn to take care of yourself. Like I said, this was supposed to be one last big present from the both of us, even it was all me. But I should have known better from such an ungrateful brat as you.
Don't you dare talk to me that way. It's my wedding day and you need to show some respect.
I'm not so sure for how much longer is it really going to be your wedding day. But if you can't see how taking this attitude with me is not going to help your case at all, then I guess that's on you. You've looked down on me and made fun of me for as long as I've known you and I've never had enough. I've shown you so much patience and all you've ever done is throw it back in my face.
Oh, just shut up already, you old annoying woman. I am sick of dealing with you. My wedding is going to happen, and that's final.
You say that all you want, but who's going to pay for it?
You are, of course. And if you don't, I'll talk to my dad and make him divorce you. What do you think about that, huh? You'll be left all alone because you thought you could tell me what to do. But no one tells me what to do.
Do you really think that your dad is going to divorce me over this? I already told you that he was against me paying for your wedding in the first place. Besides, you do know that your dad actually works for me, don't you?
What are you talking about? That can't be true. I refuse to believe it. You really think that I'll let you trick me into thinking my dad works for you? There's just no way. I mean, for starters, he's 5 years older than you.
And you really think that age means all that much at this point in our career? Besides, that also has nothing to do with the fact that I inherited this company from my father.
But wait, wouldn't that make you CEO?
That's right, I'm the CEO of my company. We've talked about this plenty of times already. You don't remember your dad talking about transferring to my company after we got married?
I remember Dad talking about switching jobs around when you guys got married, but I didn't realize it was because you were his boss. How did I not know any of this?
Probably because you're a rude, selfish person who doesn't have any interest in anything but yourself. But I hired your father because I knew him well, and my company just so happened to be looking for someone with his skills.
This can't be happening! You're lying! You have to be!
Well, we did talk about it a lot less once your dad started working for me. He does have his own pride, of course, but also, you never showed any interest anyways, so we just never really talked about it.
But I really had no idea. How did I have no idea?
I just said because you're selfish and you don't want to listen to anyone. Just like you did right now in making me repeat myself.
Shut up! This isn't what I was asking, and you know it.
You're really still going to talk to me that way despite knowing who I am and that I paid for your wedding?
I mean, this is so much to take in all at once. I really had no clue.
Well, your ignorance doesn't constitute an emergency on my part, you know?
But I always thought that you worked for my dad, and now I find out it's the other way around.
Well, I'm afraid that it's been this way for the past 10 years, so maybe you try thanking me for all I've done for this family? Not that I'd really expect you to do that. Anyways, I think we're through here.
Through here? What is that supposed to mean?
It means that I don't want anything to do with you anymore, and you said that you don't want me, and you want me out of your life.
Well, I know that I said that before I knew all of this. You're going to forgive me for everything, right?
You're really asking me that now? Are you serious? I already told you that I was happy to go along with not talking to each other.
What do you mean?
Are you illiterate or something? What do you think that means? Why are you asking me to repeat myself for every little thing I say? You would think there was some kind of word count you were trying to hit for this conversation, but we both know that it's just ridiculous. Anyways, I guess that means something will have to be done about your real final present from me, the house I bought for you and Lisa.
You bought Lisa and I a house for our wedding?
There you go again, just repeating what I said.
But we're not even related. You're not even my real mom, but you bought me a house?
That's right, your father thought that I was going way too far with it, but I insisted on doing it anyway. But I just texted my real estate agent and told him to shut the whole deal down. Your father was right, you do need to learn how to provide yourself.
Wait, no, please! I'm your son! You can't do this to me!
I'm sorry, but you're no son of mine. You've made your thoughts on that quite really clear.
No, please! I had no idea what I was saying then. I didn't know the truth. If I did, then I would never have acted that way. Please, Mom, you have to forgive me. And pay for my wedding and give me the house. I'll be grateful to you forever, I swear.
You really just have no shame at all, do you? Do you know how pathetic you seem right now begging to me like that after the way you treated me?
Please, I'll arrange to have a seat for you at the wedding if you just come back.
I won't be going back, and I told your father that there wasn't a seat for me there, so he said that he wasn't going to be there either.
So Dad isn't even gonna come to my wedding?
What wedding, Richard? I heard from some relatives that no longer after that, the whole scene turned to pure chaos. The venue owner came over to speak to Richard about the final payments for all the wedding preparations, and he flew into a panic. That must have been around the time he started to spam my phone with texts begging me for help and to pay for his wedding and to give his house back. I got so fed up that I just blocked his number. While Richard was dealing with the fallout of his wedding that never was, his father and I began to pack out stuff in preparation to move out of the house and live somewhere new. Just the two of us.